Hi, hello guys, my name is Mia Marie and you are currently watching my Synastry Compatibility series where I go through all the 12 signs, sun signs, and how they get along. Now, as a general disclaimer, we reference so much more than just the sun sign for compatibility, but the importance of the sun and understanding someone's sun sign and accepting it and supporting it is that the sun sign describes the motives, the behaviors, the experiences that contribute to someone's sense of sanity. So we're not talking so much about what someone needs emotionally or how they flirt or what makes them great in bed, all of those very, romantic topics. We're talking about how to support someone's vitality, someone's sense of self, and someone's healing human journey. So keep in mind that this is just a gentle introduction, and you can get so much more by booking a session with me or another fantastic astrologer. Those who are born with their sun in Cancer came into this world wanting to bring the soul into form. They may not think about it that way, but they see the oneness in everything. Literally, from the carrot, the vegetable, to a rabbit, an animal, from an animal to a human, from a human to a culture, from one culture to another culture. Everything is a life worth protecting and nourishing and loving. Cancer is represented as the mother in astrology, the womb. And what do we see when we look at a womb? We see something that is protective, something that is supportive. And so you have that quality with Cancer where they want to create a sense of security in the external world. They're represented by the crab, that tough shell that protects that tender meat inside. That's exactly what a Cancer is like. And if you've ever heard of Cancer, then you know what that shield feels like, because they will go inside of themselves. They will shut you off. You cannot penetrate that shell without truly breaking them, but it's nearly impossible. Another thing about the shell is that it's their home. They carry their home on their back, and it's hard for them to put things down. We're thinking about those little crabby hands. Whether it's things, they can't let go of things, they can't let go of old lovers. They want to collect everything because they've chosen that thing for a specific reason. And another quality to Taurus, to Cancer, is that they want to experience what love looks like long term with a partner, with a family member, with a pet. They're willing to see it through. They're emotionally equipped and programmed for the trials and tribulations that come with sticking with someone for the long haul, the long run. I mean, as we all know, our family members are sometimes the people that make us want to pull our hair out. Now, I'm not talking about toxic relationships where you should distance yourself from family. I'm just talking about the normal family trials and tribulations. My mom is irritating me. My dad is a handful. My siblings are this and that. Cancer is the person that says, you know what, but we're blood and I love you. And it's still safe, right? It's safe to love you, but we have to change things. Let's work on this. That's what Cancer is focused on. It's also ruled by the moon. And just like in real life, the moon affects the ocean directly. And so Cancerians have that quality to when they're feeling a specific way, they are not trying to emotionally manipulate you, though they're not above that, but they're not trying to make you feel a certain way. It's just when they are glowing like that, they are going to pull you into their emotions because that is the exchange of energy that you guys are partaking in. Pure, undisturbed Cancer energy is sensitive and introverted. And how this manifests is if you're at a party or if you're at their house, probably. If you're at their house and they're hosting, they, without you knowing, are taking intel on everything about you. Your vibe, your tone, your posture, what you're wearing. They want to know where you are emotionally, and they won't say anything to you. They're just like, okay, noted. Oh, I noticed that. Oh, that's interesting. And they'll let you repeat the pattern. And after it happens a couple of times, they might come over and give you a hug, but they're not going to confront you. They're not confrontational. They would much rather things come out in a soft way, naturally, when you're ready. If they're concerned about you, then they will, make you dinner, or they'll take you out somewhere, and then they'll talk about it. But it won't be like, whoa, they're not all up in your face like that. They want you to feel completely yourself. And something I've noticed about Sun in Cancer is that they have strong career aspirations. They perform well at work. And it's not because they love their job, though oftentimes they do. It's because what their job does for their family or their sense of security or their quality of life. They want to be providers. They want to be the person that anyone in their family or their life can go to when they need any type of support, emotional, financial. They are the mother. Now let's talk about some deal breakers. Cancer will not like if you disapprove of or discourage them spending time with their family or chosen few. They like making their rounds. They like spending time with their friends. They like spending time with their family. They will make a point to spend time with their family, their kids, their parents. It's important to them and their sense of self. Their sanity hinges on their ability to stay connected to their community emotionally. The second thing that they dislike is black and white thinking to the point where you prize separation, because you have to think about it, right? They see the oneness in everything. They see the connectedness in everything. They see love everywhere they look. And so if you're someone who swears on this being that way and this being that way, Cancer is going to feel turned off. Come on, be better. Speaking solely to the sun sign, Cancer's love language is probably quality time, acts of service. They like, when they're with you, for you to be present with them. You're not on your phone, you're not distracted with something else. They like the exchange of bonding and sharing an experience together. And the way that they love you is they do things for you. They do your laundry, they make you food, they pack your lunch, they clean the house, they tidy things up. That's their way of saying, like, I'm paying attention to what you need, and because all these things are handled, life is easier for us all. You know you're in hot water and deep water with Cancer when they shut off. When all you see is the shell. They don't give two fucks how you're doing, how you're holding yourself, what you're saying, what you're doing, if you're comfortable, if you're fed. Suddenly you've just fallen off their radar and they're moody towards you. In fact, when they do speak towards you, the emotional intelligence comes out and they know how to arouse a specific reaction. They are calculating in the way that they're talking to you. Everything becomes like just duty. The opposite sign is what comes out, Capricorn. So the Capricorn expression is, there really is little heart, and it's all about, well, we have to talk because we're business partners, or we have to talk because I am in some way, shape, and form related to you, but they're cold, they're distant and detached. So in whole, a sun in Cancer is emotionally intelligent, emotionally aware, sensitive, receptive, nurturing, protective, and they're focused on sustaining something for its entire life. Whether it's a plant, a vegetable, a relationship, they're the best lovers. When someone has their sun in Sagittarius, we see a soul that comes to earth in effort to understand, accept, and love the other, whatever that means to them. And their job is to turn around and teach the rest of us how to understand, accept, and love the other. They want the world to feel bigger. That is a quality of Sagittarian love or Sagittarian energy, is if it's good, make it bigger. It's ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is the planet that is the same size as all the other planets combined, but it's filled with nothing but hot air. And so Sagittarius has this tendency from time to time to overpromise and underdeliver. And it's not because you just fall low on their list of priorities that they don't show up. It's that they want to say yes to everything. If they could, they would be everywhere at once, because they're stimulated that way. In order to understand other people, you have to subject yourself to multiple different situations. And this is why they also enjoy traveling, because there is this inner knowing or recognition of perspectives and how limited they can be. And so when they're traveling or they need to get away for a little bit, it's not just them needing a vacation and they're just running around, running away from responsibilities. They are actually doing soul work when they're out there. They're having conversations. They're learning about how other people operate in the world and what they believe and why they believe that. And so freedom is really important to a Sagittarius because it feeds their soul. It contributes to their motive to learn, accept, and love. Now, Sagittarius is a fire sign and it is Jupiter. So this is someone who feels really positive. They're optimistic, they're expansive, they're typically learned, they have a talent or skill, or there's just something that they know really well, and they seem to it's like they're born with this wise old man inside of them. They have wisdom to share with other people, and they often position themselves, low functioning, as like they're preaching at you, but they're a professor of sorts to the rest of us. Now, being the third fire sign, Sagittarius takes the ego that Aries has established, the personality that Leo has created and celebrated, and then goes, okay, I'm kind of done with the social thing. I'm ready for something bigger. What is the meaning of life? Why am I here? And so oftentimes they will subscribe to a specific belief system, a philosophy that they've learned, or they have some kind of religious background or religious association. And what you will see more often than not is that they grew up in an environment where certain beliefs were instilled in them. And there happens to be like an aha moment where they recognize either, yes, this is for me and I'm going to build on it, or, oh, I actually think that life works differently. Let me go and figure it out. Sagittarius has a reputation of being hesitant to commit. They like to keep their options open. And the main reason behind that is they're like a wild horse. They need to know that they can go anywhere, that they can explore anything at any time. And the idea of a relationship inherently means that there have to be boundaries somewhere. And they're like, what? Does that mean I have to stay in this stable? They tend to be extreme also. And so when things are presented to them, they'll take it to the fullest extreme. Oh, if I'm in a relationship, I'm just hanging out with you all day, and it makes them feel bound. And that goes against everything that they live for, everything that they stand for, everything that they're trying to accomplish. They have a big mission. They're a universally oriented sign. And so you can see why as soon as they think of relationship, it's like, no. But what I've found is that Sagittarius characters are excellent in relationships, but so long as you are willing to be truthful and to have honest conversations about what the other person needs, and there needs to be a mutual respect and understanding for the other person's agenda. So if you are someone who is independent and you have your own hobbies and your own life going, then this should be a pretty easy match, because they do always come back. They need to touch base. They need to come home. They're not like Gemini, where Gemini has no problem being homeless spiritually. Sagittarius likes a place where it can go back to rest. And so I think that they are good at relationships, but you can't cage them in. If they want to travel for a couple of weeks alone, you have to be able to manage your own insecurity and be like, you know what? I see what you're doing. I support you. Have fun. Have the best time of your life. If you want to be in constant communication with them, if you want to go with them everywhere, unless you're a wild horse too, then you guys can mob together. They just don't want to be stopped. So it's not that they don't like shared experiences. It's not that they need to be independent. They just need someone who's going to carry the same energy as them, because they are very much aware of how people are coming off, and they are sensitive to negative or low functioning energy. And so at the beginning of the relationship, they might tolerate it for a little bit, but they'll be very quick to just say, it doesn't feel good. And they may even create distance and just start doing things by themselves. Another thing is that even when they are in relationships, they are still flirty and playful with other people, because they really just have so much energy and so much curiosity that they can spread themselves very thin. And it's not necessarily that they have more interest in somebody else. It's just like, oh, that's new. That's new. I haven't seen that before. Let me go talk to that. And so kind of having, I don't want to say thick skin, because they're not overtly disrespectful in my personal experience, but you will find them from time to time being flirtatious with somebody else. And it's like, okay, have your fun. And when they cross the line, because they're not going to be quiet about it. All other aspects to the side. Pure Sagittarius energy is not going to be quiet about the disrespect. It'll be obvious. It'll be right in front of you. And it's important to remember that it is ruled by the element of fire. And so they need something to burn. They need something to do. If there's nothing to do, if there's nothing to explore, if there's nothing that they're working on that provides meaning and value, they are going to burn themselves out. And because they're so optimistic, they're going to forget what it feels like when they push themselves to that extreme, or when they're unstimulated in that way. So they can find themselves in that rut time and time again. But You got to feed the fire. Being a sign that's here to learn and understand life deeply and examine life deeply and make meaning of it, they appreciate someone who is also intelligent, someone who is focused on growing and learning and developing, because they want a stimulating conversation. They don't actually get off to always having power or always having authority. They want to feel like their partner is accelerating in their development with them. Again, like two wild horses running together is what they would like ideally. Some deal breakers for Sagittarius. One thing that will immediately turn them off and make them pissed off is if you're not being honest and they know it. If they have collected like evidence towards you, or if they've seen something firsthand, or if they just have a gut feeling that something is off and they confront you and you're nervous to own up to your own shit or to have an uncomfortable conversation, they're not going to like it. And the blessing is that it is a fire sign. So for the most part, they get hot really quickly, but they also want to go back to that positive charge really quickly. So their goal is to like, let's just put it out on the table. Like, what's going on right now? Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you're feeling so we can move past it. They don't want to stay in a dark place, especially in their relationships. Another thing that they don't like is, again, being held too tightly. It's like Sagittarius, even though, it's not a water sign, it's like trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter that you grasp it, it's just going to spill. It's a slippery lover. It has parallels to like the theory of money and abundance. It's a slippery lover. And so it comes to you and it stays with you so long as you are willing to share it. So if they come to you and you're wanting to hold them and keep them and you're just tight and tense, just like money, just like abundance, they're going to stop coming to you because they're for the streets. They're for the world. And so yes, you can't put a leash on a Sagittarius. You just have to trust that they will come home, and they will. Also, if you are inflexible, if you believe what you believe and you're unwilling to at least understand, the bare minimum is just understand. If you are unable to show that you can comprehend what they've learned and what they're integrating, then they're going to find you boring, stale, and unattractive. Another important quality is that they are spontaneous. Sometimes the fire is just lit at any hour of the day, and so they appreciate someone who is adventurous. For example, if you are laying in bed, it's like 3 a.m, and Sagittarius wakes up and goes, "Hey, do you want to go to Japan tomorrow?" The ideal partner is going to say, "Why don't we get up, make some coffee or make some tea, and let's talk about it." Now, someone who's not going to be a good match for Sagittarius is someone who dismisses the impetus to explore, who looks at them and says, "It's 3 a.m. We have responsibilities. What are you doing?" Contractual. It's someone who's tight, right? No. Entertain the inspiration. Let them see it through. Sun in Cancer, Sun in Sagittarius. Now, for this combination, we really want to look at what the other placements are, because naturally they are so different in a way that could make a relationship quite hard to sustain long term. So Cancer is a water sign, which means that it's fueled by emotions and spirituality. It wants emotional depth and connection. It wants to mother and nurture and take care of something. It wants to understand what love looks like long haul. And it is willing to do everything to create that legacy love story. It's a personally oriented sign, which means that it's here, it's in service to its family, but because of what that interaction does for it. It's trying to recover or establish a sense of belonging in the world and in a very intimate way. Now, Sagittarius is a fire sign. It is inspiriety. It's inspiring and motivational. It prizes variety. It's adventurous. So by default, these two people are kind of operating on different rhythms. Now, if you have, like I said, you have to look at the other placements. If you have fire or air in the Cancer person, you're going to see someone who is more extroverted. If you have with Sagittarius some Scorpio or Capricorn, someone who's more introverted. But speaking solely to the sun signs, when these two people wake up, they are in completely different places, and they end the day in completely different places. So Cancer wakes up in the morning and it is fully charged, ready to go. And the moment it starts moving its body, it starts losing energy. It's using that battery that we have inside. Sagittarius wakes up in the morning and is kind of groggy. It takes a moment to wake up because as it sleeps, its pilot light goes out and it needs to move its body in order to get that flame going again. It moves to generate energy. And so Cancer starts here, Sagittarius starts here, and then as the day goes on, there is that sweet spot where their energies align. And then again, at the end of the day, Cancer is down here and Sagittarius is all the way up here in terms of energy. And so, what Self-Care Sunday looks like might be a little bit different. What you guys want to do to recharge would be different. Sagittarius will want to socialize. And that the way that could work out is if, the Cancerian is like hosting a barbecue or a party, as long as Cancer is able to be at home in an environment that's emotionally nourishing and full, then that can work. But in the real world, we're looking at two people whose sanities hinge on completely different things. So Cancer wants to be home. It is the queen of the home. It is the mother. Everything that it does is an effort to provide for its family. And it's emotional about that. And Sagittarius wants nothing more than to leave home for long periods of time. Of course, Sagittarius needs to come home, and coming home to a Cancer, you would think is great, but there's an interesting dynamic there. And if I remember, I'll talk about it later. But Sagittarius needs to constantly be moving and exploring because it's trying to make sense of others, other people, other cultures, other societies, in order to understand what the differences are and then bring language to that and philosophies to that and ultimately dissolve boundaries and establish oneness. Sagittarius wants everyone to be a friend, right? Jupiter says, the planet that rules Sagittarius is Jupiter, and Jupiter is the planet that says, I know no stranger, right? A stranger is just someone that I haven't met before. And so what you can see here is that Sagittarius's desire to maintain its sanity by going out constantly comes at the expense of Cancer's sanity. Cancer wants you to be there. It wants to hold you. It wants to hug you. It wants to hold your hand. And again, all other factors aside, right? A Cancer could have a Gemini moon or an Aries moon, and this would make them more willing to go with the flow and trot along with Sagittarius, because Sagittarius doesn't mind having partnership. It just doesn't want to feel weighted down, and Cancer can feel like a wet blanket. When are you coming home? I miss you so much. Now, as an example, my best friend is a Cancer and she has tons of Gemini. That's probably why her and I get along so well. I have tons of Aries, she has tons of Gemini, but we're both water signs, and she has no problem, with letting people go and come as they please. She has that flexibility. So you may find that in your Cancerian character too. So if there is like a triple water though, that Cancer is going to start to feel insane, because part of having a family is having a partner. And if your partner is never there or gone for long periods of time over the course of the relationship, there is a void. And when Cancer starts to feel emotionally ignored, neglected, or thrown into second place, you get the emotional tantrum. And that's something that Sagittarius is not well equipped to handle. Sagittarius is, pretty friendly and warm and inspiring and motivational, but it doesn't always know what to do when there is a tsunami, right? And that's what could happen is Sagittarius goes off on its work trip and it comes home, and Cancer is either so clingy that Sagittarius feels like it's drowning, or Cancer is so pissed off that it is withholding and it's not giving to Sagittarius anymore. And it may take a minute for Sagittarius to recognize that some damage is being done, and Cancer is slowly trying to make its way or create distance emotionally. So some ways that they benefit each other is they both care about others. They both want to be someone. Sagittarius wants people to feel good around them, and Cancer also wants people to feel good about them, but emotionally, physically, right? They will sit back and observe what's happening in life, and Sagittarius will likely be out and about doing all the things, talking to all the people. I would say as a hack for Sagittarius in this relationship is you have to expect the tantrum from a Cancer, especially because Cancer is ruled by the moon, which means that it has a direct time, and we all have direct ties to the moon, right? In the real world, in our solar system, the moon rules the tide. And when the moon is full, the waves are roaring. And so Cancers, when the moon is changing phases, so do their moods, so do their personalities. And another gift that Cancer has is when it is experiencing an emotion, it has the power to bring you in to that emotion that they're feeling. They can paint a really clear picture for you of what they're working through. Now, this could actually be, it's scary to Sagittarius, but it can be super helpful because it will kind of walk Sagittarius through the process of what it takes to, the onset of an emotion to the releasing of the emotion, because Cancer does that too. It doesn't hold on to things. It processes them in real time. And so it would be helpful for Sagittarius to kind of understand what these waters look like, because if you're in a relationship with a Cancer, you're going to be sailing quite often and willingly, right? You're choosing to be here. But the hack is expect the tantrum. Expect the tantrum at least once a month where things are just making no logical sense, because they don't have to a Cancer. They feel how they feel and it is what it is, and you accept what it is and trust that they can move through it. So instead of trying to solve Cancer's problem, instead of trying to get them to calm down, don't ever tell the Cancer to calm down. Just witness it, recognize that there is no outstanding action, and hold them, cuddle them. Physical touch may either be good or bad depending on how the relationship works. Sometimes with Sagittarius, you can see someone who's very ambivalent, even to, like simple, well, not simple, but extended periods of cuddling. Cancer likes you when you come home to hug and you guys eat together, you watch TV together, and you guys are in your pajamas together. Sometimes Sagittarius is like, this is too much. And then other times Sagittarius can be very handsy, and they're handsy not in the same way that Cancer would like, because Cancer wants you to touch them and touch their soul. Sagittarius wants to touch you because you look attractive, and it wants to put its hands all over you and just burn you alive with passion. And so there can also be for Cancer this feeling of, oh, you don't see me. And I use this example with Pisces a lot, and I guess I'll use it here, but Cancer is an emotionally deep sign. Let's just say in a pool, it's 6 feet deep. And let's say Sagittarius is, 4 feet deep, 5 feet deep, 5. There are some times in Cancer's life where it is going to, for the most part, right? They're going to be together for the first foot, second, third, fourth, fifth. But those times when Cancer needs to go down to the 6th level, the 6th foot, no matter how much Sagittarius loves Cancer, no matter how hard it's beating its head against the cement to try to get where Cancer is at emotionally or spiritually, it can't do it. And so in those moments, Cancer will feel alone. It will feel abandoned. It will feel as if it is invisible in Sagittarius's eyes. Cancer may not recognize that Sagittarius not showing up in that way or not being willing to have those conversations is how it will manifest. It's not because Sagittarius doesn't love them. It's because they're just not wired that way. They're not programmed to handle life or engage with life in the same way that Cancer does. And so this 1 foot of unexplored space feels like 90% of Cancer's life all of a sudden. And they will try and probably talk about it because they are vocal with the people that they love. But eventually, as time goes on, Cancer will probably feel like, this isn't a good fit. And Sagittarius will recognize it too, depending on the mood of the Cancer. Oh, am I missing one huge thing? So Cancer is all about loyalty. It's the opposite of Capricorn. And when you think about Capricorn and Cancer, the similar that they have is that they want stability, right? Capricorn represents the workplace and workplace success, and Cancer represents family and family success. And so this is commitment over the long haul. This is loyalty. This is emotional, I would say stability, but it's quite unstable sometimes, unstable sometimes. So Sagittarius's knack for flirting or engaging with other people may rouse or rub Cancer in the wrong way. Cancer will judge Sagittarius for stepping out of their relationship. Cancer may have higher expectations of what monogamy looks like than Sagittarius feels comfortable conforming to. And so a lot of the times Cancer, I see Cancer just being hurt repeatedly in this relationship. It doesn't mean it can't work. And like I've said, in my personal life, I'm thankful to have a Cancer friend who is so mutable and changeable and talkative, and it balances out the water in a way that enables her to have a more successful life. And so maybe that's the situation for you. But again, circling back to the idea of sanity, in order for this relationship to last, in order for the other aspects of your birth chart to soar or have their hand in your connectivity, Cancer needs to know that it is your one and only, that you're going to be here, that we have a schedule, that you care about this family, that family is your number one priority. And Sagittarius needs to know that it can have escapes from time to time. It needs to know that it can have its freedoms to behave and explore as it chooses. How you guys work that out is totally up to you. But go into it understanding that there will have to be some compromise. You guys are going to have some uncomfortable conversations. And just because the conversation is uncomfortable, it doesn't mean that this person isn't for you. It just means that you're trying to establish something that makes you feel a little bit out of your element, and you will feel out of your element with this person. And again, it's not their fault. It's not that person. It's just the territories that they're choosing to go to and the motives that they're trying to accomplish. And I think it's easier to understand and make peace with people's differences when you accept what they're working towards and they accept what you're working towards in return. And then once that's validated, then there is suddenly this magical space. It's like acceptance births this magical space where relationship can form. So immediately this is what comes to my mind. If you would like to learn more about either your birth chart or your relationship chart, you can find me at wellandrising.com/services. Toodles.